Guys, welcome back to HPL. Our third match of the night is about to get underway between Kaldi and Greensheep. Greensheep, again, been pretty quiet since BlizzCon, and Kaldi looking to continue that consistent performance he's had.
Yeah, he's been a great, consistent performer all year long in the pro scene. He's going to look to continue that here in HPL. Now, you're going to look to see him play a very long game against Greensheep, maybe get him out of his element a little bit, because we expect Greensheep to come out and be pretty aggressive, but you never know what they're going to play here in HPL. They're allowed to play anything. Our format allows you to build anything you want. If you can build it, you can play it. So get out there, use that hashtag. Let us know on Twitter. Use that hashtag HPL. Let us know on Twitter what you think is going to happen, what do you think they're going to play, and who do you think is going to win. And we're about to find out for game one right here, Greensheep versus Kaldi.
Yeah, Greensheep, you know, again, we talked about how we expect him to be aggressive. Kaldi may decide to go toe-to-toe with him here. And look at that Greensheep. You know, this looks to me, I mean, this could kind of still be anything at this point. You see mortal, I mean, it could be like a zoo with mortal coils in here so far. So we don't know exactly what's going to be moving forward. But Kaldi, again, we talked about getting that long game. Handlock is one of those decks that does it best. Yeah,
Abusive Sergeant is one of those cards. It's always interesting to see in a Warlock deck because you've seen it in Handlock sometimes. But yep, you're going to see a pretty aggressive Handlock. I mean, I'm sorry, Warlock deck here. Direwolf Alpha is an aggressive card.
Yeah, Zoo with mortal coils, you know, kind of looking to maybe target aggressive strategies that are thrown back at him. But with an opening hand like this, you know, unless he picks up some strong draws here, this is going to struggle. 2 Power Overwhelmings and a copy of Implosion. Implosion, not a very strong card versus a deck like Handlock. So both of these guys are going to be looking to, you know, leverage their life totals in some way to try to get those extra options. Of course, Warlock is one of the classes that does it best. A very central part of their strategy is intentionally hurting themselves in order to get extra cards. Sometimes those extra cards are found in big minion kills with stuff like Hellfire, or it's found in additional board pressure with stuff like Flame Imp. So either way, these guys are going to be accumulating some blowback and looking to make that a central part of their strategy.
I fully expect a lot of life taps going on in this matchup, especially with Greensheep having a hand that isn't exactly very aggressive yet.
Yeah, so we're going to see if he wants to go with his Direwolf Alpha here or if he just wants some more options. And when you're playing an aggressive strategy, you typically have to favor board presence. But you can already see him shaking his head. This hand is so shaky at the moment. He mulliganed away both Mortal Coils, and in return he got 2 Power Overwhelmings, and now he's redrawn one of those Mortal Coils. This is dire straits for him right now.
Yeah, he's actually drawn multiple cards that he mulliganed away early in at the beginning of the game, so he cannot be happy with his opening hand here. And I've got to feel that from this position, it's going to be pretty hard for him to beat Kaldi.
Yeah, Kaldi looks like he's considering playing the Sun Fury Protector here as well. I couldn't blame him for that. It would kind of put maybe some presence against this Direwolf Alpha, but he knows that Greensheep's got the coin. So whether it would be something like Implosion or even something like Defender of Argus, maybe even Dark Iron Dwarf. I mean, all of these cards can potentially be in Greensheep's range, especially when he's got a slower draw like this. So I like to see that he's foregoing that. But this play right here from Greensheep kind of tipping us off to the fact that he's maybe playing a more demon-centric strategy. Something like Mal'Ganis would not surprise me to see in here.
Yeah, you've seen some of the aggressive Warlock decks actually go a little more mid-rangey with some more top-end with this demon-centric theme they've got going on, because you can get a ton of value off of a card like Void Caller.
Yeah, Defender of Argus looks like it is an excellent play right here as well. It's going to keep that Void Caller from dying straight away to this Twilight Drake, so maybe some push for damage here, or maybe he's going to start favoring trading. We're going to have to see. And look at that, going to start pushing for damage very early on. Again, we talked about how aggressive he was. He wants to leave the trading to his opponents. And since he doesn't have a favorable position to actually attack the minion right here anyway, not a big surprise to see that happen.
Not at all. Now, Kaldi does have a pretty good Shadow Flame this turn if he wants to do that. The thing that might hold him back on is he doesn't know what demon is going to come out of Greensheep's hand if he kills this Void Caller. But as we can see, there isn't actually one there.
Yeah, he obviously has no way to know that, so he's going to be very careful in how he chooses to go forward in these turns. Something like an Ironbeak Owl here wouldn't surprise me. Neither would something like Antique Healbot. He's got a lot of options in front of him, but he has to figure out how the next few turns are going to play out before he can make a reasonable decision.
Yeah, and that Molten Giant is a pretty welcome addition to his hand there.
Pretty darn good one. So just going to run over this Direwolf Alpha. He still has a healthy Drake on board, and he's at one of those life totals that can be extremely dangerous. If you see something like Power Overwhelming's Abusive Sergeants, Greensheep's actually got 8, 9, 10, 11. He's actually got 13 damage right now. So there's a potential here, I think, to see a push, but I think he's going to look to continue to stabilize this board position and look for the bigger picture.
Yeah, he's definitely, the full 4 damage implosion there.
4 damage implosions are so strong in positions like this. Mortal Coil actually getting some value here. A Bane of Doom being added to this hand. So at this point, when I see the Bane of Doom, I have to believe that this is actually kind of away from a more super aggressive oriented strategy, and that he's looking to use stuff like Nerubian Eggs, get some extra value off stuff like Bane of Doom. He's looking for Power Overwhelming to be more of a combat oriented card than it is strictly just a push for damage. And look at this.
He doesn't attack.
Yeah, intentional non-attack here with something like Molten Giant in mind.
What a heads-up play from Greensheep here that would have allowed Kaldi to play an even cheaper Molten Giant here and then give it, taunt with one of his defenders or Sunfury protectors.
Yeah, this is still kind of an interesting turn from Kaldi. He can still cast Hellfire and that Molten Giant in the same turn if he wants. He's got the mana to do that. But something that we talked about consistently in professional play is the way that players anticipate their opponents are going to use their mana, the way that that mana utilization is dictated. And here, he's dictating the way that that potential Molten Giants get played by not attacking here. So he does sacrifice some damage from doing that. But again, he's looking at the big picture of things.
Now, it's very interesting. If he Hellfires here this turn, he's going to take a lot of damage on the way back. Greensheep has 2 Power Overwhelmings in his hand. Kaldi is actually very close to dead here every turn for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, one single point of damage can end this, and he's taking that into consideration right now. He has to do something on the board, and this Emperor is looking awfully tempting with a hand like this. You have to believe that he's thinking about how 2 Power Overwhelmings are going to interact, but, how often is your opponent going to have that when they have a 5-card hand? The only thing he knows is that these cards have been sitting in his hand the entire game. I love to see the Hellfire here. I think that he's got a little bit of a read, maybe even might think there's something like Soulfire involved in this deck, and the fact that he's got this Molten Giant down, if he lives through this turn, he is looking very good.
Right. Now, Greensheep has 11 damage here, but Kaldi, unfortunately, is at 12, and Greensheep has no other way to get extra damage through here.
Well, so actually, he can push the Bane of Doom next turn.
Yeah, so he can use the Bane of Doom as an actual
So
spell.
If he's looking at this position right now and feels like this is a situation where he has to go all in, you actually might see him push for that big damage and then hope that Bane of Doom is going to finish the job next turn. He's actually 1 mana off of lethal right here, so going to continue to focus on his development of his options and then look forward and how to play this game. But after this turn, again, if he doesn't put Kaldi in a position where he can kill him, heals and taunts can easily take over.
Yeah, it's a very good point you're making there. He might not have another chance to get these Power Overwhelmings through into Kaldi's life total. You have to suspect that Kaldi is going to be D'ing up a lot over the next couple turns, using taunt and using heal. This might be the last best chance that he has to use these Power Overwhelmings.
Yeah, this is something that professionals often will think about is when their windows of opportunity are, and this might be it for Greensheep.
It's going to be interesting to see what he chooses to play here. Running out of time here. He's got about half his rope left.
Yeah, looks like he's just going to make the investment in an implosion here. Hopefully get some extra damage on this, get some minions on the board, and then push for damage afterwards. So this is really the turn of recovery here for Kaldi. He's got to find a way to fortify this board position. And with Anti-Keelbot, with Sunfury Protector, with Defender of Argus, he's got multiple ways to do it.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty sweet turn here, too. He's going to need to attack for 8 with this Giant and use a Shadow Flame off of his Sunfury Protector to clear all of Greensheep's board. This is what we talked about. He doesn't have a really good play with these Power Overwhelmings this turn, so last turn might have been one of his last best chances to use it.
Yeah, still a lot of action left in his hand, though. I mean, Nerubian Egg and Void Color are going to help fortify this board position. Not a huge threat of lethal next turn, so there is still a potential for him to kind of take back over here and really get the ball rolling again. Bane of Doom is kind of a scary card. If you look at the average power and health that this thing is going to summon, it's a pretty big one, and the swings on it are really the most important fact, that it can get stuff like Illidan, it can get stuff like Mal'Ganis. Those can be very important cards. Now, in a situation like this, Kaldi happens to have Big Game Hunter, so should either of those minions come into play, he's got them checked. But in a position like this, I have to believe that he's looking to just recover the board position and look for another window of opportunity.
Absolutely, and another Iron Beak Owl was drawn for Kaldi here. That's a great card in this matchup. It gets to come down and silence any of the stuff that Greensheep's got developed, all of which have a lot of value from their death rattle stuff. So being able to take that away from him, it's taking away from the central idea of Greensheep's deck and the central focus. Yeah,
so Kaldi, again, pretty much the aggressor at this point. But you can't take away any of those options from Greensheep and see exactly how he wants to proceed forward on a board like this. This is dangerous territory.
Absolutely. I mean, both players have very low life totals. Kaldi's got to be careful. There's a chance that he might die over the next turn or two. He's got to feel a little uneasy here.
You can even see him considering attacking this Void Color and trying to handle what comes out of it afterwards. He does have multiple ways to deal with that. Either Siphon Soul to handle maybe something like a Doom Guard, or even Big Game Hunter to handle something potentially bigger.
Yeah, if something like Mal'Ganis just comes out.
Yeah.
That card is not fun to play against.
Yeah, just going to push for damage, though, and use this Ironbeak Owl, so Greensheep has to get something this turn, so no value going to be had out of this Void Caller. But, I mean, Bane of Doom could potentially turn this back around and still the 2 power overwhelmings. But Kaldi's up to 17 at this point, so the idea of really pushing for a big lethal turn kind of out of the question at this point. He has to find a way to just recover what's happening.
Yeah, what's going to happen this turn, you're going to see Greensheep re-push for board control here. I think he's going to use a Bane of Doom to finish off this Molten Giant, and then use maybe one of his power overwhelmings on his Nerubian Egg to get rid of some of Kaldi's minions and advance his board some more by making a 4/4 after that.
So this is actually a pretty important one.
This is a pretty big spot here.
It's a flame imp. Not the worst.
Not the worst, not the best, but not the worst.
Yeah, not too excited about it for sure. And again, every time that he chooses to use one of these power overwhelmings, that's less reach he's going to have on his opponent. So the fact that this Ironbeak Owl is checking this flame imp, probably one of the last things he wanted to see. But he's also staring down some damage here, so maybe he feels threatened by something like Defender of Argus and a Dark Bomb.
Yeah, it's interesting to see if he pushes for damage here. Yeah, I thought he was going to eat the anti-kill bot here. Now it's going to leave behind a 4/4. Now it's interesting to see him not tap here because he is actually worried about dying here from Kaldi.
Yeah, this is at the stage of the game where using his life total to get more resources is kind of out of the question. When you take that sort of central point away from Warlock, that's where you know that they're very much struggling. So Kaldi can read into that scenario. I mean, I'm certain he doesn't think that Greensheep forgot to life tap. He's very much concerned about that life total here. So going to continue to potentially play defensively. He can even open up some more aggressive options here. He's just going to continue to play that defensive style.
Yeah, we talked about going into the matchup that Kaldi was going to be playing defensively, playing for the long game, and you can see him doing that perfectly and beautifully here.
Yeah, he's actually going to make this push for damage too here. Look, I love it.
Yeah, I love this play.
Doomguard gets picked up, but gosh, he would have loved, I think, to have that a little bit earlier. But it's still a second Bane of Doom here. So now, once again, the options are opened up for Greensheep. How does he want to handle this board and attack this kind of position? The fact that Kaldi has been a little bit more aggressive now really is opening up kind of a small window for him to regain control. Gets Jiraxxus off of that Bane of Doom. 315 is not easy to handle unless you have something exactly like Kaldi has in Siphon Soul.
Yeah, thankfully for Kaldi, he has a Siphon Soul in his hand to help him deal with this Lord Jiraxxus in play. It is very hard to kill a 15 toughness minion.
That being said, he is at 25 too, so I don't think he feels pressured to really clear what's going on here. Something like Sylvanas, he may very easily feel like this is more than enough to keep the pressure on Greensheep as well as find potential value in the future.
Yeah, he might also Emperor Thoros on here. There's something to be said about doing that, making your whole hand cheaper, and just having a stranglehold in this game for the next couple turns, because Greensheep would have to trade into this Emperor. Like he cannot leave it unchecked. Speaking of Lord Jiraxxus, there's another one.
Yep.
But it looks like he's going to go Sylvanas here.
That 16 points of healing allows Kaldi continue to use his life total as a resource, make sure that he has all the options he needs to all but choke Greensheep out of this game.
Yeah, Greensheep is in a pretty rough spot here. I mean, he did so much damage early, got to the point where he was actually 1 point off of lethal, and Kaldi is back up to 26 this game.
Just looking to, again, once fortify his board position as much as he possibly can. But this is now another window of opportunity for Greensheep. This Dr. Boom is going to get checked, but I mean, this has to be the play that he wants to go for if he's going to try to win this game.
Yeah, this Dr. Boom is going to get killed by this big game hunter, but you saw Kaldi play defensively again last turn, and it gave initiative back over to Greensheep. And Greensheep had a really big and good follow-up in Dr. Boom there.
Yep, I like the Sylvanas play here.
No time for games.
Oh, he's just going to Shadow Flame. Look at this. All right, so now this Imp Gang boss is going to make a 1/1, so this is a 50-50 flip of whether or not he's taking a 7-2 or taking a 1/1.
Oh, he gets the 7-2, and you can see Greensheep did not like that.
Greensheep actually had 16 points of damage if he took the 1/1, so that is major that it took the 7-2 instead. The fact that Greensheep had a 50% chance to win this game, even despite the grip that Kaldi has had on this board, is unbelievable.
Man, this game has been just great back and forth action. I cannot believe how close Greensheep has come to winning this multiple times, and you gotta believe it, because Kaldi played pretty defensively in some spots where he could have pushed for maybe a little more damage.
Yeah, I mean, this is still a spot, though, where Kaldi's not out of the water yet. I mean, he's staring down a 5-7, doesn't have an answer left to it, doesn't have any heals left in his hand, doesn't have any taunts. I mean, this is a pretty, this could potentially be a very dangerous situation.
Yeah, Greensheep actually just pushing what might be possibly lethal over the next couple turns here. And it looks like Kaldi is going to actually try to gain 4 life here with Lord Jiraxxus. This game has been unbelievable back and forth.
Lord Jiraxxus is going to be the play here. Still a lot of options available to him, but he feels like pushing for damage is going to be best. That 3 is going to come in. If Greensheep doesn't find a way to heal or find a way to put damage on the board enough to kill Kaldi. He's got Dark Bomb to finish this game off. Knife Juggler's not enough yet. He's gonna life tap and put himself at 1. Mal'Ganis, he's 1 mana off of being able to play it, but even despite that, Kaldi had the answer with Big Game Hunter, and Kaldi's gonna go up 1-0 in this series.
Yeah, it looks like Lord Jiraxis is gonna come in and deal the last 6 points of damage to kill Greensheep. Kaldi with the win here, up quick, 1-0 over Greensheep. Man, what a game. We saw Greensheep come within lethal multiple times, within 1 point of lethal, then he was 50% chance to get lethal again off this, the Sylvanas trigger, and the 7-7 just went, the 7-2 went over to Kaldi's side. He wasn't able to finish him off there. He had just the 1-1 left over and was just short of killing him.
Yeah, I think Kaldi, obviously once he's seen the power overwhelming and seen Void Caller, he kind of knows how this build's going to be felt out. I think he knew what Greensheep was throwing at him at that point. But the fact that Greensheep's hand was exactly what it was with the power overwhelming and a Doomguard was, I mean, that was basically his the ace up his sleeve, so to speak. But the fact that he even had a 50% chance is unbelievable when you consider how many minions that Kaldi killed that game and how strong of a control he actually had.
Yeah, Kaldi had a iron grip on the game in the middle after, sustaining a ton of damage early, recouped, got control of the board. Then he felt like he had an iron grip on it, started to push for damage. Then he backed off a little bit 1 turn, and he gave Greensheep another opening to get back in the game. And as we said, he had a 50% chance to win it. Fate wasn't on his side there, and we saw Kaldi go up 1-0.
Yeah, massive damage dealt from Greensheep again. That sort of aggressive tendency coming into effect. You'll see aggressive tendencies do that. They'll pick up a lot of damage, but they have to have that little extra push at the end of the game in order to close it out. So Kaldi going to go up 1-0 here in this series, but it's still anyone's match. When we come back, it's going to be Game 2 with Kaldi and Greensheep. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.